So this is a typical property, the active cell property. So this is one that we use a lot. So wherever the cursor is or wherever the selection is considered the active cell. And the only issues with the active cell that I've seen is that you can't select more than one cell. So the word active cell simply means one cell. So you can't select a range of cells and say, tell me where the active cell is, because this active cell would be the first selection of that range. This is the selection property, and you can see how you can select the items first. You say, well, whatever's selected, we want to format it that way. The value property is very similar to the format RC1C, and this is the one that gets put in the Visual Basic macros. The ones I like to use is the value property because it makes more sense, basically. So basically, anything that has a value, you can pull the value from a cell, or you can actually put something in the cell. We'll show you how to do both methods, which is pull information from a cell and then actually assign it maybe to a variable at some point. So this is the typical use of that particular value. It looks like you can put text strings has double quotes around it, numerics are just nothing. The dates actually have to use a pound sign. So if you're actually going to put a date into a cell, then you should pound sign. I think you can do it without the pound signs as long as the cell is formatted as a date. That might work, but the better way to do it would be to follow the style that I show here. And then we're going to get into the copy property. This is stuff that we've already done already. We've already talked about some of these already. We've already used those code quite a bit. The copy property is the next one, the copy and the cut and the paste. Now there's some interesting little things with this. You see that here we're using what's called the active sheet paste. So we can select a specific cell or a range. There's a range down here. And then we can select that range, but then we have to use the active sheet object to use the paste function. So the active sheet it's kind of a format issue to know what to use. So we can copy something out this way and paste it using the active sheet. And then down here, we're simply doing cut and a paste. So we're basically cutting it out, and then we're clicking on this cell and we're pasting it at that specific spot. And here's another selection copy. So this is a selection copy. So you select it first, and whatever selected is copied, and then you say whatever the active sheet is pasted. Now the paste special is a little bit different in the fact that you can't use the active sheet paste here, but on the paste special you have to use the active cell. Kind of interesting. So they changed formats a little bit on this, so you have to kind of be aware of these little adjustments here. So that is the format for this. The delete method simply says take that range and delete everything that's in there. And the clear works very much the same as the clear feature. You can clear those cells out too. So those are a couple of them there. Clear formats too. See? And then we have some extra sign. Let's go through and play with a few. Let's open up this file called employment. File name is at the top here. The file name is called employment. And we want to save it off another name you can, but we just won't save it. So I'll come over to here, put a file open. I'm going to close a couple of these out here. Open, browse, and go to employment. And it looks like we're going to take some of this information here and copy and paste it, possibly out here or something like that. So let's look at some of the code to do this. We can look at their specific examples, but maybe we want to take like all these names here, all these names down to the end here to number 29, and we'll copy and paste this over here possibly. When we copy and paste values, see here we can copy the salaries and then copy it over here with the word value. See, so that's a paste special. So we can copy something over. So let's start with our name list, our last name. We're going to copy that over maybe to I or J or something like that. And then we'll copy the salaries over and do a paste special. Let's go through our Visual Basic editor. Look at our new employment module. Insert module. Creates a new blank module. Put my option explicit in there. Sub. Copy. Last name. And then I'm going to hit the Enter key, and it's going to create my information here. So we're going to select cells B1 to B29. I can say range B1 colon B29, 29, right, dot, and then we have to specify how we're going to pull this out. So I think we can put the copy right here directly. So I think we can just say copy like this. It's when you paste it, you have to kind of put a specific keyword in there. Just come back and just look, refer to this from time to time. Here's my values property. Here's my copy. So it looks like we're going to just straight copy whatever we select, whatever we specify we're going to copy. And then we have to specify where we want it to go and then paste it and do an active sheet paste. So we're going to come to, we're going to say, now where do we want to copy that to? So I can simply say range I1, double quote, and then dot select. And then we can select that range, and then we're going to simply paste it at that active sheet. Dot paste. So we simply are going to copy it, tell it where we want to copy it to, and then simply paste it at that point. So I'll run my code. There's my copy. So see, they got the marquee over there. And then we're going to go over to I1, which I just did. Then we're going to paste it. Now, one problem I see here is that this marquee is still open here. Remember that? And remember how we got rid of that before? Is we actually went in and did the escape key, but there's a certain command that it puts in there to do that. So let's go through and write a macro to figure out what that command is here. So if I just come over to write a macro, so I'll simply go to up to my developer tab here. So this is an interesting little technique because sometimes if you don't know what the command is to do something like this, then you can go write a macro to figure out what the command is. So in this case, I can come over to my recorded macro. I'll call this test. Put it in this workbook. I'll put test 1 maybe or something like that. I'll just say okay. And now I'm writing a macro, so I'll just simply select this information here. I'll copy it, Control C, and then maybe I'll come over here and paste it to see what it does here. So Control V. But in order to get that, if I hit the escape key right now, that's going to turn off that marquee. So I forgot what that command was to turn that off. I'll stop my macro. I'll go look at my code to see what that looks like. I'll put it into another module here. Here's my test. So it looks like there's the code right there. See, this application cut copy mode equals false is the command that did that. See, here's my active sheet paste. That's the macro I wrote. So I'm going to take this code and copy this up to here so that when I run that macro again, it will turn off that marquee. And so what's important about this is that there's a lot of commands out there and you may not know them all. And you can go look up a book and do stuff, but I'll just write a macro and see if you can reproduce the command that way through a macro. And that way you can see what the command is you're going to do. So it looks like we were able to figure that out. And that's important because I've had people in the class ask me, well, what's the command to do this or this or that? And my answer is, let's figure it out. And that's how I basically do it.
Do you have to exit your Visual Basics to record a macro? Because I'm unable to actually record something right now.
It's possible that you're right in the middle of the debug mode. So if you're in the middle of debug like this, then the macro is disabled.
So what would I have to do? Just run it completely?
You have to get out of it or hit this little button, this little square box, this reset button.
Oh, I see.
Which aborts the debug.
Oh, that solved it. Thank you.
All right, so there's a little additional command that we were able to add in there. So, all right, so now we're going to do a paste special of the G column. And we're going to copy the G column, and then we're going to paste it to L maybe or something like that. And then we will do a paste special on that. So you have to kind of look at the code again to make sure that we know what we're doing here. So here's your copy and paste here piece. But down to the paste special is right here. So it looks like we're going to copy it just like we did before. We're going to select the cell, but then we're going to specify the active cell object and use the paste special and use the XL paste values. So that's kind of important to see that. It looks like they did a little format here too. So that's the command for the paste special. So I'll come back over to my Visual Basic code. We're going to call this sub paste SP or special, and put our code in here. We can copy and paste some of this code up here maybe, and then sort of modify it. And I'll have to type it all over again. This time we're going to copy G column. So it's going to be G1 to G29. And then we're going to come over to column, paste in column L maybe. L here. And then it's not an active sheet paste, it's an active cell, I think it is. So it's active cell paste special. Active cell dot paste special. It's Excel, control spacebar, see the different paste options available, and there should be a values option in here, paste values. So again, this one does not require an equal sign in here, where a lot of times we've used equal signs for that parameters, but this particular style does not require that. And then we're going to leave our application cut mode in here false, so that turns off our marquee when we're done. So that should copy your numbers over as a non-text. I don't know if this is a formula or not. Yes, it's a formula. See it? So that's a formula. So it's going to paste it as a non-formula value, the result of the formula. All right, so I'm going to run that code. My copy. It's going to go to L. There's my L right there. And it's going to paste the special values in here. Paste it, fine. That's going to turn off the marquee. And I can hit one more time to get out of the debug mode. And so these numbers here are not just numbers. They're non-formulas. I pasted the values of that. Okay, so that's how that works. So we're going to be able to practice these in a few minutes. The delete method, we can go out and select a range and press the word delete, and it will delete it. See, this will delete the data, not the format, from cells B9 to C29. You can also use the clear method, which is just the same thing. So it's clear. This is clears the format. There's actually several clear commands out here. So you can do a clear format, clear contents, comments. So you can clear different options in here. The word clear, just clear itself, is the one that clears everything, format and everything out of there. You can use the delete command or the clear, and we'll try one of these clear options to see how that works. So we can just take one of these rows here and we'll just clear one of those. Okay, so I'll just take and call it delete sub ELCLEAR. So we use the same one. And I can select this range to save myself a little bit of time. So I won't have to go through and redo that. Type it all over again. So I'm going to select B1 to B29, and that's going to delete. That will delete those cells. And then I'm going to select C21 to C29, and we're going to use the clear. But I'm going to do a control spacebar, CLEAR. It looks like we can clear the comments, clear the contents. The clear itself clears all. If I want to clear just the format out of there, I don't even have it formatted, so it doesn't really make much sense there. But you can choose different clearing options. So I'll just clear the contents. So I'll click on that, and that's going to clear the contents of that range. And then we can do other aspects. If we have something formatted, we can clear. I wonder if this here, what if we clear this one and clear the format out of this? That would turn into a number because it's currently formatted as a date. Let's try that. So if we can do another clear on the D column, and this is going to be D, and this time we're going to clear format. And control spacebar to get the right spelling of that. So it's clear formats. It's interesting to use the word S on that.
In that case, would you do D2 just because D1 is the title?
D1 is the title. It doesn't really matter. I think it will still work. But you could do D2, yes. Mm-hmm. But when you clear the format, the text always defaults to text format anyways. So
right.
If it was like centered or something like that, then that would get cleared out. See, if this was like centered in the middle like this or something like in the middle, then you see it when you clear it, it'll be right, just the left just.
Got it.
All right, so I'll try this, run this and see what happens. Okay, so B, and it actually deleted the entire column. Look at it, and it had to fill in the hole, as you notice there. So the delete is more of a actually removes the column, and things have to fill up the void. The clear feature doesn't actually delete the column, but it actually just, see, it just kind of clears it. And that actually didn't work because the first one deleted the column, see it? And then that kind of messed it up, okay? So it messed up my next column, which is the C column, because the C is now the D column, because the first one wiped out my first column, and then we can do that. See, that's how it works. So that's kind of interesting. So, and the problem is you don't have an undo capability. It doesn't undo those commands. They're pretty permanent.
So in that case, maybe what you would do is clear the column and then delete it at the very end, right? So you don't have to like keep anticipating. Okay, got it.
Yeah, or you'd use the clear all, just the clear right here. See it? You use the clear, and that won't delete the column. That will actually just clear the data in the column. See it?
And then you would delete it at the end if you really didn't want that column, right?
If you didn't want, you could do something like that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Or you can change these columns around and just say, well, I'm going to delete B after I delete it here. then I can do that. So you have to kind of figure out how it works, what's the right approach. So. All right, so anyway, so my little idea of my form, I didn't get to try that out, so, but that's okay. All right, so there's a couple of items of ideas of doing this particular capability. And we're just kind of walking through these methods to see what they accomplish. There's a little project I put together. And again, I put in a little example of code here. You can look at that. This one up here is here's the paste values. This is going to do a date value. We did this as a macro before. But here's the code you can actually put in there to do that. So you've got, you can type in the shipping date, and then you can type in the today, this kind of thing. And then you can put a rectangle in there to kind of submit it, kind of what we did as a macro, right? But you can write this as in VB2, using the paste special feature to paste this as the special values. So we can do that one if you'd like. Here's one. This is a lot more fun, because we kind of did that in the little macro earlier. But we should do it just to do it, just to have it. So this one here is a conference menu. And we'll do this one first, and then we'll go through and do this one second. Let me explain what they are first. So we open up this conference menu, and you see here's the conference menu here. And here we're going to write VB code to define cell E1 as gourmet menu, E2 as gourmet prices. So it's going to put these two fields right up here to put the labels in there. Then we're going to copy cells A4, all this menu information right here, okay? And we're going to copy it over here. And then it says, so copy those columns, use the paste special option, or column widths. So we see the problem is when you copy it, the column widths get collapsed here. So then we have to copy this and paste the columns so that the columns are straightened out the way exactly like this. And then it says write a VB code for each line on G5 to G17 to increase the rate by 1.2. So we're going to basically, here's an example I put here. I said range G5 dot value equals range G5 dot value, which is going to pull that data out of that range, and then it's going to multiply that by 1.2, and it's going to put the answer in G5 value. So that's kind of the idea of the code. So that's kind of what we're going to cover, and this is a little example of what it looks like in terms of the end result. So you can see that. All right, let's go through and do a few of these things. Let's go through and do this today function first. But we kind of did that in a macro, but we'll do it as VB code, right? So we have to do a copy and a paste, and we have to paste values. So we're going to create a new blank sheet, new blank, and we're going to simply type in the value in there, and then we're going to copy and paste it. So we're going to simply go through and, in the VB code, put in the actual code in there. And is that what I said to do? Yeah, it says type in the shipping label or something like that, and then put in A2 is equal to, and then you put in the code like this, you see. You add 20 days to it, shipping days to it. And then we can create a button, but we're going to actually go through and copy and paste that as a static value. It says copy the shipping date using values option on the same as A2. So we're going to use the values option to copy and paste it special, okay, onto itself. All right, so I'll come over to here, go to my blank sheet, and I will find my blank sheet on my list. Here's book 1. I'll insert a new module, and I'm going to simply go to, call it the sub, new, date, and I'll simply go to cell A2, I'll put A1, I'll say range, quote A1, dot value is equal to, and we're going to put in here shipping date. we're going to put in here an A2, we're going to put in that formula and add 20 days to it. So we're going to say range A2 quote dot value is equal to, and we're going to put in, I think we can do it that way. And then we're going to simply at that point, we're going to copy the today value and paste it as a special feature. I say range A2 dot copy, and then I'm going to go range A2 again. We have to select it first. And then we're going to do active sheet, if you remember right. Dot paste. No, it's not an active sheet. Sorry, it's an active cell. For the paste special, it's active cell. Let's go verify that. So I'll come back up here for my paste special feature. Paste special right there. And look at the code. It says active cell paste special XL paste values. So active cell dot paste special space XL, then paste value. Let's find the option here. Value. Right, so we're going to do the active cell. We're going to put this today function in there, and then we're going to copy it, and then we're going to select it. Make sure it's selected. Once it's copied, then we're going to see if we go back and paste special. I'm not sure if we have to select it first. I don't think so, but I don't think we need to. We can just do it that way. And then we're going to paste the special and then paste value. Let's see if this is going to work. Okay, so I'll go 8. Okay, and there's shipping date went in there, and it's going to put this in A2, which you did. Let's copy it. You can adjust this if you like, just so you can see it. There's a command for width too, for column width. So we put that date in there, and that looks correct because that's like 20 days from today. Then we're going to copy it. Then we're going to select A2. Then we're going to paste special values. We're going to finish up. So let's see if we have an actual value. And it doesn't look like it's could be a date, but maybe it didn't. Yeah, it is a date. It would have a formula right up here if it was a formula. It did work. So that's kind of the idea, is you have to kind of look at the code and look at the format of that to see what the right structure is for the paste special. And sometimes you're going to be referring back to the book because maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you use the word sheets and you shouldn't use sheets. You got to use the word active cell. And those are some of the little pitfalls you run into. So having some quick reference capability, understand how to use the book would be helpful to, get quick answers type thing. So you would go back to the book, the reference guide, and look under paste special, and then it will refer you to the page that we were just at a minute ago. And so that's how you would refer back, because maybe you didn't seem to get it right. Okay, so let's open up our sheet for our conference menu. Open, browse, and we're doing the conference menu. This is the conference menu. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting 2 labels right here first, and then we're going to copy all of this, and we're going to paste it here. But the problem is the column width will stay small like this. So then we have to do the copy, keep the copy in place, and then paste the column widths so that these widths will be copied over here. We have to go through, and then we're going to go through and modify the numbers and put a little additional capability out there. Increase those numbers by a certain percentage. All right, so let's go back to our Visual Basic Code, and we will find that particular the conference menu. We're going to add a module, insert module, and we're going to start off. We're going to say sub. We say copy CONF. Enter. So we're going to go through and put in the labels up at the top first, and then we're going to copy and paste it. So to put those labels in, we have to identify where we're going to put it. We say range E1 dot value is equal to, and then we're going to put in what the conference menu says. Okay? And then we're going to put that in the one below it, E2. We're going to put in the other label, which is going to be gourmet prices, items, and prices. Let's copy that. And, all right, clean it up a little bit. That's going to stick those 2 values up there. Now we're going to copy and paste A4 through C17. So we have to say range. It's going to be A4 colon C17 close dot copy. And then what we're going to do, we're going to paste it with just a normal paste, right? We don't have to use the paste special or anything like this, because we're just pasting the information across. So we have to use the active, not active sheet. Yeah, active sheet, not active cell, right?
You need to select.
Yeah, you're right. We have to select it first, range. That's why it starts having multiple eyes looking at my sheet here. So this would be E4, right? E4 dot select. And then we do our copy. Then we can do active sheet dot paste. Right? Now, at any point along the way, you could stop and test it out to see if it's going to work. And that way you can make sure that things are going right. But I could do it from this point and show you what basically is going to happen. I'll go through and delete it after I'm done. So with the menus in there, of course, we should probably make it bold too. That would be nice. Here's my copy. Here's my select and my paste. So see how the columns aren't copied across, yeah? So we want to make sure those columns get copied across. So I'm going to take this and just escape and write this out. So how do we do the copy special based on the column widths? So we already have it copied here, and we can paste it like this. So we don't necessarily need to redo all this again. We could, but I think it's still, the marquee is still open and active at this point. So then we come along and says active cell dot paste paste special, and then we have to use our XL command, and then paste, control spacebar to see what paste commands are available. So paste all except borders using source column width right there. See it? So we're going to take whatever's active, whatever the copy is in this copy range up here, as long as it's still marquee and it's still selected, then we're going to paste it, the column widths, at the same location, right? Starting on E4. So then we're going to modify cell G5 and actually change it at a higher rate. Let's come over the book and see what I said here. So I said, copy the cells to that location, then copy the columns E through G. Looks like we could do it that way. This is another way to do it, looks like. So I'm saying copy columns E through G. You can use the columns command. But I believe you can use just the normal copy will work too. And then it says paste widths this way. And then the VB command for each cell. So we're going to go for G5 is going to equal to range G5.value times 1.2. So that's your code right there. I can cut that out. And paste that right here. And then I can simply copy it multiple times. And just do it for each line. So this is G. Oops. There's something wrong here. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, okay, I did it. Didn't put an enter key here. So I go to G6, and then G7, then G8, and we can go through and make a loop command to do this also, but maybe we can try that in a little bit. We'll try to put in a loop in here to do them all instead of doing them one at a time. So this is going to be G6. This is going to be G7. It's going to be G8. So it's going to modify those fields, those values, with whatever's in there now, and you're going to multiply whatever's in there times 1.2, which will give you an increased rate. How are we doing on that? Getting a little bit complicated, huh? But that's taking the basic tools that we created to do all this work for us. Now, maybe this is something we do on a regular basis, and this would actually make things out. Now, could we have done that through a macro? We couldn't have done the formula thingy through a macro, but we could have done some of the other stuff in a macro. Okay.
So I have a quick question. Instead of doing like G5, G6, G7, G8, could you do range G5 colon G17?
Now you have to do them one at a time, but we
Okay.
can create a loop and put a loop in here. Let's make sure it's going to work first.
Okay.
Then we'll go back and I'll show you how to create a for loop. Whenever the opportunity comes up, I like to show these things. So that would be very helpful to do that all as a group. Again, how would you know that that's true? I'm telling you that's true, right? But how would you know that? You were going to try it, aren't you? Right?
Yeah.
You can type in range G5 to G whatever.
Well, I did. And
Let's see if it works. Yeah, it's not going to work, right? So, but that's how you would normally figure it out, right? By just trying it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, then you try to work around it and try a different way. Okay. I'm just going to see if mine's going to work right now. So, all right. So I'm going to click here. Go to. Okay. Here's my E1. Put that out there. It's copying it. Goes to E4. It's going to paste to the active sheet. Or did it? Now it's going to do the column widths. Did it? And then it's going to multiply these numbers. It's going up, see? They changed a little bit. 180, never, okay? So let's go through and create a for loop and actually do these numbers all the way to what's called the end of this string here, okay? So we can, because you might have like 100, 200 of them, you know, type thing. So you want to be able to do that. So let's go back to the book, and I'll show you where this is located at. Just going to go to the home and jump down to the for loops. There's loop structure controls. I think a do loop is what we want to use. So try the do loop. I like the do loops. Okay, so here's the do loop. Let's see, let me find one here. Until one. Here's one here. This is a good one. We can use this exact code. So this does a do loop until the active cell is equal to blank. That means it's going to keep looping until it runs into a blank at the bottom. And then here it says take the active cell, offset it by 1. We haven't talked about offset yet, but we will in a minute. And then select it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1 down, and then we're going to put our code right in here, see? And we can make a change. Let me see, can we do that? Yeah, we can use the active cell and multiply. Yeah, perfect, that'll work. So this is the code we want to use. So I made it so that you can cut and paste this code out. Copy that code out. You'll find that about 8.8. All right, so let's go to here. And we're going to put it right here. So right in there. Okay, so it's going to continue to do until the active cell is equal to null. And then down here, we're going to go down 1. Okay, so we want to start at the active cell. We have to start somewhere. So let's start somewhere. So we're going to come down here and say range. We want to start. See, this is going to come down. It's going to go to this value. Okay, so the code's going to go up above it. So we're going to start on G5. So range G5 dot select. Okay, so that's what we're going to start at. And then it says, okay, we're going to put this code here. We're going to say, whatever the active cell is, what is the active cell? Well, that's G5 right now, correct? Dot, and we're going to say dot value is equal to the active cell dot value times 1.2. So see, what we're saying is that we're going to go to G5. It's going to take whatever the active cell, which is G5 at this point, and then it's going to say if the active cell takes the G5, whatever's in G5, and it's going to multiply times 1.2. And then it's going to say, well, wherever the active cell is, I want to offset it by 1 and go down 1. Okay? And then the loop will loop back in. Okay? So then it's going to loop back, and it's going to go through the next active cell, which happens to be the next one down. See it? And then it's going to continue to loop in that way. So let's see if this is going to work. I can take all of this, clear it out, change my columns around, use my column, my paste width. I'm going to run through the whole thing again, and that way I can get the correct C column. And there we go. So goes to E1, puts the gourmet menu up there, puts the gourmet menu there. Now it's going to copy those cells, and it's copy to find. Then it's going to go to E4. Then it says paste that information to E4, which it did. Now take the column width and change them out, perfect. Now it's going to go to G5. Now it's in G5. And now it says, okay, keep looping until you find a space or a blank cell. So then it says, okay, going to do the first one. It changed it, see it? Now it's going to offset by 1. It went down 1, perfect. And it's going to loop back. Now it's going to actually modify that one. Okay, changed it, perfect. Now it's going to go down 1 cell. It's going to loop back. And it's going to keep looping through that list until it reaches the end of the spreadsheet. I'm going to keep looping. Keep looping. Now we're getting close to the end here now. Okay. Now we're at the last cell. And so what does it do? It's going to go back again. Its active cell is not blank yet. So it's going to actually modify that cell. It did it. Then it offsets by 1. Then it loops back. And it says, until the active cell is blank. Dropped out. So I wanted to show you this because this is kind of where we're going with this. But here was an opportunity to show you how you would build a looping feature to actually go through and modify everything. Yeah, it would be nice if you can just select it and multiply the selection range times the 1.2, but it doesn't seem to work that way. You have to kind of do them one at a time. So this isn't the way you would actually do them one at a time without copying the code down like I was doing 20 times. Because we don't know how big it is. Maybe it's larger than this. Maybe it grew at some point. And so we want to be able to do that. And we might want to also look at ways that we can select this list so that you're not selecting a specific area. You can select it just to the end of the list. Okay, so we can show you that code too. We're going to get into that a little bit next.